Hello everyone and welcome finally to my review on this Morphe+James Charles palette. As I'm sure you all know by now, James Charles, very famous here on YouTube / in the makeup world, I guess, in general. He's a youngster. I believe he's 19, right? In any case, I believe he's still in his teens. Became famous mainly on Instagram / Twitter when he posted his picture of where he redid his school photo so that his highlighter was more on fleek, brought in a ring light or something. Like, people went nuts. Heck, even CoverGirl was like, we like you. You're gonna become our first male CoverGirl model. So yay, like that's huge. Huge. And then based off of that and the little bits and pieces of drama here and there, his YouTube channel blew up. I mean, he has over 10 million subscribers. He's a big deal. Like, gets millions of views per video whenever he puts a video out, and he's super duper talented. I really don't know that anyone can deny him of that fact. Like, he is a true makeup artist, and the looks that he comes up with, I don't know why I motioned to my look, I am quite the amateur, but the looks that he comes up with, stunning. I mean, I'm trying to think, at least the ones that pop into my mind are all gorgeous. And so Morphe, being the collaborating brand that they are, were like, hey, you should probably make an eyeshadow palette with us, and James Charles was like, okay. Like, of course, why wouldn't he? My first gripe, as always, I have to point this out, I hate these cover things that have the shadow names on them. It's not helpful. There's so much room on this palette where you could have printed the names. Darn it. It's so annoying for someone like me who needs to know the shade names. I'll probably just end up taping it up here or something, but it's just annoying overall. This is a palette of 39 different colors, mattes, shimmers, everything in between, I feel like, satins, in most colors of the rainbow and more. That's what James wanted to create with this palette. He really wanted it to be something where you can let your inner makeup artist shine. Here are just some comparison facts and figures. This palette is $39 and it is right in the middle of prices, I feel like, with Morphe. It's more expensive than the 350 palette, but it is cheaper than the Jaclyn Hill palette. In any case, super inexpensive shadows, and they still perform like not inexpensive shadows. Morphe really does a great job. They make some lovely shadows. I don't think they're perfect by any means, and some shades certainly work better than others. I have come to find that in this palette in particular, the shimmery shades or more shimmery shades, you know, Artistry, wig, that sort of a thing, you really have to use your finger if you want to build up that pigment. But I feel like with the colors like these ones right here, these really bright matte colors, did a beautiful job at formulating those. They can go on a little bit chalky, but I mean, for the most part, blend out beautifully. And I really have been able to find that I've been able to come up with all sorts of different looks with this palette. Although that is one thing, these huge palettes, and it has been in Morphe palettes in the past, but they overwhelm me. There's just so much choice. So that is a negative for me in that sense, that I feel like pressure when I look at this palette to like make something super dramatic and whatnot. And I think that kind of has to do with James's name being attached to this too, because he does such dramatic looks. I feel like I have to as well, but I have found that I've been able to make super dramatic looks. I've been able to make super natural, soft, everyday looks. Like, it really is a versatile palette. Here's a couple comparisons. I've got the Jaclyn Hill palette and the 350 palette. James's, like I said, is bigger. There's a comparison for you if you want to know that. And it's just cardboard packaging. This kind of black gets all the fingerprints on it, but it does have a nice snap closure to it, nice and secure. Holds that piece of paper in there, piece of plastic. Now, speaking of the Jaclyn Hill and the Morphe 350 palette, I have found that there are quite a few shades that are pretty much identical dupes within these palettes. I was able to find some from the 350 palette that were the same in the James Charles palette, and same with the Jaclyn Hill palette going into the James Charles palette. Are they perfect dupes? No, I don't think they're the exact same colors. However, once you use a brush and everything, like, they end up looking absolutely identical. So if you're kind of on the fence with this James Charles palette, you know, maybe consider which Morphe palettes you already have, or really any palettes in your collection, because there are a lot of really dupeable colors. I feel like if you want to get this palette, you really need to want the bright matte shades. Like, that's where this palette shines, in my opinion, because the things like the shimmery shades and then the matte, like, neutral shades are super dupeable. They absolutely, I feel like you can find these in other palettes, other places in general, but like I said, these more electric matte shades, they're really, really well done. So I feel like, well, otherwise, I mean, if you want to support James Charles, obviously, buying the palette would support him and show Morphe that you enjoy him. Now, all that also being said, James Charles, I know, the drama is certainly there with him. I don't really want to get into it, but I feel like people want to know everybody's opinions on this stuff. There was a big blowout, a big something or another here on social media with this palette when a girl by the name of Cody Rants went on Twitter and decided to rant about this palette because it stained her eyelids and it gave her hives. A lot of people, I feel like, were like, wow, she was so mean, she was yelling, she was this and that. And to that I say, well, she is labeling herself as a rants channel / Twitter / account, you know, like, I guess to me, I wouldn't expect any less. Rant channels are overdramatic. That's what they do. Does it make it right? No. But with her overdramatics and stuff, it's like, then James Charles responded and essentially kind of was like, well, that's your own problem, you know, you should know whether or not these things stain your eyes and you should see a dermatologist and blah, blah, blah. It's this huge, you know, clapback culture of, I don't know that it necessarily stemmed from drag queens and drag culture, but like the whole, yes, bitch, drag her and all this stuff. I feel like it has absolutely leaked into people's everyday lives, and they just want everyone to get dragged and everyone to do all the clapbacks and all the drama. It's like, I don't know if our lives are just that boring that we're relying on these petty fights and whatnot to get through our days, but I personally hate it. You know, was Cody overdramatic? Yes. But does that mean she didn't have a problem with these eyeshadows? No. She clearly had hives from it. Like, that sucks. I do certainly feel that if she wanted a proper, like, apology or, like, something from James, she could have, you know, like, I feel like when you have a problem, you handle it with kindness. Like, you don't go in with pepper. You go in with sugar. When you get food at a restaurant and it wasn't made quite right, you know, like, to your waitress, you don't say, like, this is disgusting, send it back, I want new food, blah, 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 you're horrible. You should say, you don't necessarily have to apologize, but like, I personally, maybe it's just because I'm a Minnesotan or because I'm a woman and it's been beaten into us and, you know, you should apologize about everything, but like, I would be like, hey, I'm so sorry, but this and this was wrong with the food. Like, is there any way I could get, you know, a replacement or whatever? You know, the waitress is gonna be way more wanting and willing to get you new food than if you yelled at her and called her names and whatever else. You know what I mean? I guess I don't know how old this Cody girl is, but James is certainly, like I said, he is young. I hope he learns from these experiences that, you know, clapping back, especially when it's your product. Yes, I know on here, on your pressed pigments, you've got your little eye with the cross out over it to denote that some of these are not eye-safe shadows, because they are pressed pigments and there's something in them that apparently the FDA has not regulated as okay to use on the eyes. I think a lot of that is just to save their own butts, their own hides. You know, we experienced this with the Urban Decay electric palette and everything. Like, I think it's kind of there, just like on Saran Wrap, how they have to have this huge disclaimer saying like, this metal thing is sharp and it will cut you if you put your fingers on it. You know, like, obviously. But, you know, someone must have probably sued them, being like, I didn't know that was gonna cut me. And then, so now they have to put that disclaimer on, that kind of a thing. I feel like this is the exact same thing. Like, does everybody need to worry about some of these pressed pigments on their eyes? No. But it's also kind of like drug commercials where, I'm trying to think, isn't Topamax a thing? I don't know why that's popping into my head, but where they give out all of the disclaimers like, you should not take Topamax if you are allergic to Topamax or its ingredients. No duh. but like they have to say that to cover their own butts. Like it's just, to me, it is all very silly, but you know, some people do react to these pigments. Like, just so people know, Cody acknowledged that she handled it poorly. I don't know that James ever did acknowledge that he handled it poorly, but the whole situation was just poorly handled, and of course drama channels and stuff jumped all over it, and it just got way blown out of proportion. Death threats everywhere, like just either way, I just hope people, you know, like learn their lesson or whatever. James, I guess I'm hoping he, you know, learned his lesson in that when you create a product, you are responsible for things that come as a result of your product. Not like in whole, but still, like if someone experiences a problem with your palette, just say you're sorry, you know? Like I think it's just a learning thing. Like I said, his age does not excuse him for the way that he acted, but you know, we've all made mistakes. We all continue to make mistakes. It's how we learn, it's how we grow. I've messed up plenty in my past, and I'd like to think I have learned from it, so hopefully he can do the same. And we can all do the same. It's, oh my gosh, you guys. Another bit of the drama with this palette was that James's live swatches, or swatches, sorry, were not live, and you could see overlapping and stuff, so basically he was lying about how these things swatched, and so people got really up in arms about that, which I totally understand. It's just there's been a lot of drama surrounding this palette, so hopefully seeing my swatches and all the other swatches that I'm sure you've seen from other people will be helpful for you. But yeah, all of this encouragement for drama, I really hope it ends very soon. I'm gonna knock on wood with my crossed fingers here. So I think I have talked enough about this palette, have I? Things blend beautifully. I personally think it's a good palette. Do I love the palette? No. I think that comes from A, me not watching James Charles. It's nothing against him. He's just not my kind of channel that I like to watch. And then B, I think it comes from the fact that it intimidates me and makes me feel like I have to, like I said, create these really dramatic looks and stuff when that's not the case, but it does just make me feel that way. But you know, with a primer and everything, these end up lasting on my lids all day, hardly any fallout. Like they do a really good job. They do perform very well. Moving on into my swatches here, like I said, I've got the dupe swatches, and then I've got all the swatches. I tried a different editing type, you know, way of editing, so I hope you guys enjoy that. Oh my god, it was so much extra work, but I personally like the result, so I hope you do too. And yeah, so I hope you enjoy the swatches, and I'll see you at
I'm not afraid of...
Now on to every single thing I tell you to do, and do it quick. You big bullets. And I feel like come on, manacles to a murderer who stop at nothing to get you off his head. Defend the situation, prepare heaven when I come to you. Well,
you have made it to the end of this video. It's probably so long, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful for you in seeing swatches and everything of these shadows. I hope just hearing me talk about this palette in general was helpful for you. I do, as always, make a separate tutorial video if you want to see how I made this look and a couple other looks. You can definitely go ahead and check that out. I will throw a card up in the corner, and I do have it linked below as always, so you can really see how these shadows perform in action on the lids. They do much better on the lids than they do in arm swatches. Well, some of them do anyways. So like I've said a million times, I just hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, definitely, you know, leave a comment down below. I love hearing from you guys. How do you feel about all this stuff, and how do you feel about the palette? Did you buy it? Did you not? All that. I really do. I love hearing from you all and getting a nice collective casserole of opinions in the comments below. You can also let me know if you enjoyed this video by giving me a thumbs up down below. I would really appreciate it. And if you're new here, hey, hi, hello, how are you? You can go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more content from me in the future. You can become a member of my casserole family here on my channel. I'd love to have you here. And as always, I just hope you guys are all doing well. And until next time, just stay well until then. Bye!